Hey, this is Irvin B. Griffin Jr. And what you have here is a special that I want to do. I want to do a special video. Last night, June the 3rd, 2016, the man born Cassius Marcellus Clay, but the world knows, or the man that the world knows as Muhammad Ali, passed away at the age of 74 due to complications from his longtime battle with Parkinson's syndrome. Muhammad Ali, of course, was a boxing legend, but he became much more than that. Born, as I said, Cassius Marcellus Clay in 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. Cassius grew up, while not dirt poor from most things that I've read on him, while not dirt poor, certainly was experiencing some of the bigotry and racism that all Black Americans experienced during that period, and even today. The legend goes that one day he parked outside where he parked his bicycle outside where they was having some boxing exhibitions. Well, somebody stole his bike, and he found out that somebody stole his bike, and then he went to the policeman, and he was like hopping mad, talking about, "Ooh, when I get my hands on that dude, I'm gonna put," and then the policeman, actually suggested to him, "Well, you might want to learn how to fight first before you start talking about whooping people." So there began his love affair with boxing, which he took to it. Of course, we know he went to the Olympics. There was a gold medalist in the Olympics. Now, there's a legend there. After he returned home, he tried to eat at a restaurant. Well, the people there didn't want him there. You could probably figure out why. Anyway, after that experience, Cassius Marcellus Clay took his medal and threw it into the Ohio River. So the legend goes. Many don't believe the legend, some do. You decide. He starts his pro career, and he goes on basically a big long win streak where in the heavyweight division, even though he was small for heavyweight, no one had ever seen the combination of strength, grace, and power in the boxing ring. It was almost balletic. Basically, guys rarely laid a hand on him. Rarely did anyone ever touch him. I think one of the few was Henry Cooper, and one other, I think a black guy, managed to knock him down, but Cassius was basically invincible during that. Then comes Sonny Liston, the Bear. He takes on Sonny Liston in 1964 in Florida and defeats him for the heavyweight championship. After that, he says, "My name is no longer Cassius Clay. It is now Muhammad Ali," and announces he was a proud member of the Nation of Islam. The very same Nation of Islam that, of course, had Elijah Muhammad as its leader at the time, and of course, Malcolm X. Not too long after that, Muhammad Ali became one of the most hated figures in the world, actually. Was particularly America. The world stage actually still embraced him, even praised him, even though I'm sure there were some parts of the world where they did hate him. But in America, he was basically looked at as a pariah. And his decision to become a Muslim because he was traditionally raised Christian. His decision to become a Muslim caused a lot of strife between his family members. Moving on, he would go on and defend his heavyweight title several times until he was called up to be drafted into the Vietnam conflict. Cassius claimed conscientious objection based on his religious beliefs. They tried to force him to go by changing his position from 1Y to 1A. Now, a little story on that. He had actually took the draft test and he failed, in which he said, "I said I was the greatest, not the smartest." But for some reason, his draft status was mysteriously changed to 1Y to 1A. And they even tried to tempt him with the carrot, saying, "Hey, you won't even be in the battlefield. You'll just do exhibition fights and this and that. You'll be like Joe Louis back in the day." I believe it was World War II when Joe Louis went. And Muhammad Ali refused to go. And he not only refused to go and refused to step and take the whatever penalty was coming to him, he also punctuated with the famous quote, "No Viet Cong ever called me nigger." Muhammad Ali was then stripped of his heavyweight championship, stripped of his passport so he couldn't go nowhere else to fight. And whenever he would try to get a fight, like exhibition or whatever, someone would block it. Basically, his license to fight was taken in all 50 states. So for 3.5 years, he could not fight. He and his family, his second wife, Belinda Ali, him and his growing family managed to survive on endorsements, money that people would give to him to help support him and his family, and speaking engagements, which he became very good at colleges. One of which, in particular, when he got into it with, I believe, a reporter or a protester, it was a white man, about why he wouldn't go to Vietnam. He said, basically, and I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, basically he said, "Why should I go to Vietnam? Why should I go over there to fight and die? If I'm going to die right now, fighting you. You are my opposer when I want freedom. You are my opposer when I want justice. You want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand for me here at home." Muhammad Ali had a brashness and some might say cockiness, but he also had an air of confidence that you don't see too much in people in general today, but especially in black people, and particularly black athletes. He was willing to suffer and lose millions and millions of dollars to stand up for what he believed. And I understand there's different reasons why black athletes won't do that today, but it's neither here nor there. That's a discussion for another day. When Muhammad was allowed to come back and fight, he campaigned for a shot at the heavyweight championship. By then, it was held by Smoking Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier also wanted to fight because many people, even some in the dominant society, said he was not really the champion until he beat Ali. That led to the fight of the century in 1971 in Madison Square Garden. And the tragedy of this, in my opinion, is that as great as Muhammad Ali was, he was also a human being. And he was very flawed, particularly his ways about women, but particularly this, where he was to promote the fight, he was very cruel towards Joe Frazier. He played himself as basically the black champion, while he painted Joe Frazier as an Uncle Tom and as the white man's champion. And a little side note on Joe Frazier. That could not be further from the truth. If anything, Joe Frazier even lived the black experience in America a lot closer than Muhammad Ali in a lot of ways. Joe Frazier was also an Olympian. Yet he was being treated mainly by his own people as a pariah. Nevertheless, the build-up to the fight was tremendous, and the fight itself acquitted the build-up. Joe Frazier handed Muhammad Ali his first loss ever. But ironically, it would be Joe Frazier that would go on in the eyes of history to be the loser, whereas Muhammad Ali, who actually lost that fight, would go on to be the more lauded of the two. After that fight, Joe Frazier would go on to lose the heavyweight championship of the world in a devastating knockout loss to a young George Foreman. Foreman would then go on to defend the title against Muhammad Ali in the now famous Rumble in the Jungle, in which Muhammad Ali used the now infamous and dangerous rope-a-dope to defeat George Foreman and win the heavyweight championship of the world for a second time. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the first man to actually regain the heavyweight championship. Then that would lead to the fight that many feel should have been the end of Muhammad Ali's career. The Thrilla in Manila, the third and final fight with Smoking Joe Frazier. The two had one rematch in Madison Square Garden, which most people don't really remember that one. But then the third fight in Manila, I watched that a few years ago, and I talked to my own father about this, and I said, Dad, how were those two not dead after that fight? And I'm not exaggerating. These two should have been carried out on stretchers. But Muhammad Ali managed to win that fight, and he is quoted as saying, "It was like death. That was the closest thing to dying that I know of. Joe Frazier brings out the best in me, and God bless him." Joe Frazier did retire shortly after that fight. However, Muhammad Ali would continue to fight on when he should have retired. He would then lose and regain the heavyweight championship from a young Leon Spinks. But then after his retirement, he was baited back into the ring for one more fight against then heavyweight champion Larry Holmes. It would be a sad goodbye to the man everyone called the greatest. Soon after that, Muhammad Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which slowly took away his motor ability and particularly his ability to speak. But his spirit would fight on for many years after that, as he became a goodwill ambassador to all people. Muhammad Ali, dead at age 74. And this is from Irvin Griffin personally. Thank you for your great example. Thank you for not only your brilliance inside the ring, which inspired others such as Sugar Ray Leonard, and even, I would dare say, perhaps even a Floyd Mayweather, and many others. But thank you for your example outside the ring, that there is no price on pride and human dignity. All the money in the world will not replace self-respect. And you chose to give up all that to fight for self-respect. A lesson that people that are in positions to make a statement, particularly our people, could learn from. Thank you, Muhammad Ali. Rest in peace. Rest in heaven. Rest in power.
My name is Muhammad Ali, and you will announce it right there in the center of that ring after the fight if you don't do it now.
Professional. This will be like a kid out of the Olympics meeting the fastest heavyweight champion that ever lived.
Boxing style. There's nowhere in the world from a man that don't have no footwork to catch me. Even a welterweight. Keep your camera moving because I'm kind of fast. Keep your camera moving. Lightweight's not this fast. Plus I'm talking to him. I'm making him frustrated. Come on, chump. You're not no champ. Look at you losing. You lost 3 rounds already. Come on, man. I hit you 4 times.
I predict that tonight somebody will die at ringside from shock.
Talking about me about some draft, and all of you white boys are breaking your neck to get to Switzerland and Canada and London. I'm not going to help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you. If I'm going to die, you my enemy. My enemy is the white people, not Viet Congs or Chinese or Japanese. You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.